What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Masculine Health Solutions podcast, where I am joined by the legendary Suzanne Bratton. How are you today?
Well, CJ, I'm super psyched to be here with you because you are fearless about male enhancement. And who knew when I was a cute little girl, Susie Shock, running around in the playground with my jump rope, lassoing the hot first graders, that someday I would be like the queen of penis pumps. I mean, I did not think this was my trajectory, but I love to help men have the biggest, the baddest, the veiniest, the hardest, the longest lasting, most orgasmic package they can possibly have. I just love to help men believe that there is upside in their pants.
And that's why it is an honor and a privilege to have you here to talk about this. Because, I mean, one of the things that we're seeing more and more, and I really do believe lifestyle factors and a lot of different things are playing into why so many guys are like, hey, it's just not really working the way that it should. Yeah. And where you come in, you kind of just drop all the knowledge bombs that we need fearlessly and just let us know, like, hey, you know what, there's help out there. Because a lot of dudes are kind of scared to, or usually what happens, it's almost like, hey, it's not working anymore. I should seek help. But there's a lot of preventative things that we can do. And one of the first things I was going to ask you is biohacking male sexual performance.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah. So there's two, I think about. So if you're not familiar with biohacking, I know you are, CJ, but if you're not familiar with biohacking is basically, Dave Asprey kind of coined the term, and he's a good friend of mine. Basically the concept is that you can take what you have and make it better. And so that naturally leads into men's sexual performance, because you can take whatever you have and make it bigger, harder, firmer, thicker, longer, last longer, everything, stamina, the whole thing, with some pretty simple strategies, which I love. And then I think about sexual regenerative therapies as maybe what even goes underneath that, because for many men, before they can take themselves from where they are to where they want to go, like I'm 5 inches, I want to be 6, I'm 6, I want to be 7. And a lot of guys think in terms of length, but honestly, girth, I think, is as important, if not more important than length. It just depends on the length. Like there's some cutoffs there. And regenerative is, first I got to get back to where I was before I can take myself higher. And so a lot of guys definitely are suffering from low testosterone, inability to get hard, inability to stay hard, loss of basically sensation, difficulty achieving climax, which they call delayed ejaculation. They have Peyronie's disease. They have sexual wounds from intercourse or from accidents, like a guy that broke his urethra doing masters downhill mountain biking racing. There's a lot of stuff that can happen to a penis. So what I like to do is I like to think about, okay, first of all, you're going to have some atrophy from aging. Your dick is shrinking. And you need to work on your testosterone. You need to work on your nitric oxide supplementation. You need to work on your oral microbiome. You need to stop eating out of plastic. You need to keep your weight down, because in all honesty, the testosterone epidemic is primarily big data sets of people where our grandfather's testosterone was, twice as much as our testosterone. But I think that's primarily from obesity, because
100%.
When you're fat, you make estrogen and not enough testosterone. So there's that. And then I think you cannot discount the impact that pornography is having on men, because there are men who get addicted to it, a lot of them, and they are showing up in my DMs and my email, so many guys now, and they they blow out their dopamine receptors, they get depressed. And then, so if they have low testosterone, they get depressed, they blow out their dopamine receptors, they get depressed, they're not making enough serotonin, their gut biome's screwed up because of their bad diet. I mean, it's just like it's what we would call multifactorial. It's a combination of a bunch of stuff that's depressing libido, deflating the penis. And add to that, that by the time you're 40, you're starting to act like, if you have wrinkles on your face, your dick is shriveling, because you're desiccating, your human growth hormone is declining. So your collagen is lowering. So you're losing body mass. You're losing skin volume. You're losing tissue volume, and it's tissue in your penis. Add to that you have atherosclerosis, which is the fatty plaque that gets into your blood supply from eating the barbecue and the French fries. And that gets calcified. Your body lays down calcification over it. And that actually makes the blood system, your vascular system, all that muscle tissue, smooth muscle tissue, it has to squeeze to get the blood from your brain when you're thinking, your heart when you're exercising, to your pelvic bowl and your penis when you're aroused. And it can't squeeze anymore. It lost its tone. And then if you're eating a bunch of sugar and white flour, you're creating inflammation and you're creating insulin resistance. And that means that in addition to the bad vascular system, your bad blood flow, which isn't putting blood to your nervous system tissue, your nervous system tissue is also impacted by the inflammation from all of the sugar and white flour. White flour is basically sugar too. It's just a carb that turns into sugar. So it's all sugar. That's a double hit of things that hurt your ability to get blood flow into your penis. So venous leak is the number one issue guys have, which is I can get the blood in, but I can't hold it in. That's because the smooth muscle tissue doesn't lock and hold the blood in anymore. So it falls back out. So you can't maintain an erection. And I have to tell you that I think there are a lot of guys out there, even in their 30s, but especially their 40s and 50s, who it's been a slow and gradual decline in their firmness to the point where they don't even know how loose a noodle they've got now. If they could go back to being 18 and look at their penis now and when they were 20 or whatever, and they would be like, wow, I thought I was hard, but I am not hard. I am pretty soft. Like I can still get an erection, but it's a lame, wan, soft erection. And the thing about that is that not only is it disappointing to a partner, she wants a nice, firm penis, but it's also, it just means that he's not having full orgasmic capacity, because when your penis is super hard and like throbbing, it's like there's thud factor. It's like so full of blood. It's like bam on your leg, it's like you can just feel the weight of it full of blood, and it's got all this veiny innervation full of blood, and it's just like throbbing with, blood flow and turn on. You're going to have such a better ejaculation than somebody who's got, an okay erection, but it isn't really super hard. And it's kind of getting thinner and smaller and shorter. And it's disappointing. And so I wouldn't be saying all these things because guys are like, you're killing me, Susan Bratton. You're stabbing a knife in over and over and over and over, But I'm not, because I have solutions for everything. So honestly, I want you to know how bad it is. And I want you to know what you need to know to fix it, because I'm all about regenerative and then biohacking. And I love penis enlargement. love it. And there's things I like, and there's things I worry about. There's things that I think are the bomb. And I think there are things that are like, well, if you can't do that, I mean, you can do these things, but I think they're dangerous, because remember that I talk to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of guys a year, because guys slide into my DMs, they send me emails, they come onto my OnlyFans, they ask me questions, and I answer them, and I see what all the problems are. I see more dicks than a urologist. Maybe not. And I'm not a urologist. I'm not a doctor. But I am a champion for, I give men more hope than their urologists. Because the urologists aren't trained in vacuum erection devices and GainsWave and penis, all the different things that you can do, which we'll talk about. So I just am such a champion of men taking their penile health into their own hands, and also learning how to be incredible lovers. What do women want? Especially, although I help gay men as much as I help straight men. I help people across the gender spectrum, because gay men love to have giant penises. So they're one of my biggest followings. I'm like the Bernadette Peters of the penis pump world.
But honestly, it's kind of, it's honestly, your passion, first of all, is kind of what obviously drew me into, like, I've been following you for a while too. And that, like, I'm just so excited you're here, right? First and foremost. But second of all, it's just everything you said from the onset makes perfect sense. And as a trainer, I've been there before, where it's just like, and I remember I got real close with this guy, and he was about 40% body fat. We started working, got him down 30, then he got to 20. Then he's like, yo, man, one day he just, because, we got pretty close after a while. I was like, yo, my dick is so hard, bro. You have no idea. He's like, I think I gained an inch. And I'm like, well, a lot of it was probably just the fat that you had on your body. But when you get rid of all those things that are kind of like under the surface as well, like the visceral fat and, the plaque buildup and all that good stuff, it's kind of like, yo, he took it to the next level, and he was happy. And it's one of those things where it really opened my eyes to like the possibilities. I'd kind of known about male enhancement. However, for some reason, we as men kind of compartmentalize. And I kind of feel like our healthcare system just tends to do that too. Like, oh no, you talk to the urologist about that. Diet and nutrition is not relevant here. Where it's like, no, I think, what, everything kind of exists. Everything in the body is connected. And it's one of those things that you mentioned too, the hormonal profiles, the gut microbiome, all those things. I'm like, oh, it's just so beautifully packed, because you know exactly what you're talking about.
Thank you.
And the first thing that I wanted to open up, because obviously we talk about male enhancement here, and that's kind of one of the biggest things. What is your favorite form of male enhancement?
Yeah. So I like a combination of things. And one of the things that I'm doing right now with a friend of mine, he was in a 23-year relationship. He just left, and they only had sex for the first 2 years, and he stayed in 20 years too long.
What?
And he is like, okay, what do I do? And he is an average size guy, like 6 inches on a good day. 5. He has a 5-inch penis, and it's pretty thin. And I want, in 6 months to a year, to give him a really, really beautiful penis. His penis is beautiful. Like, the head is in proportion to the shaft, and it's pretty, and he's circumcised, but he didn't suffer from like a bad circumcision. I see guys with like a lot of excess tissue from circumcisions, and like it didn't come out so well. And there's a lot of guys who are doing foreskin repair too, foreskin regrowth and things like that. And I really personally feel like I think circumcision is genital mutilation, and I'm against it. And the foreskin's there for a purpose, and it's beautiful. And I love an uncircumcised penis. In our culture, we have almost all circumcised men, and it was built into religion. And people don't even think about it, and they just do it. And I feel like it's a shame. But if you're circumcised, you're still doing fine. It's okay. It's just, let's break that chain. It's like generational trauma is what circumcision is. So here's what we're doing with Shane. Let's call him Shane. First thing I'm doing with him, like I put him on a plan. I'm like, Shane, I want you to collect all the data. He's this super geeky, really methodical guy who is rebuilding his life after 20 years of being with someone, and he's completely starting over. So he's like working on a new friend group, and he's starting to go out and things like that. And he really wants to have an incredible penis, and he can. So the very first thing we do is we put him on a nitric oxide supplement because he's 56. And he is going to take Flow, which is the product that I make for people for nitric oxide. It's based on citrulline rather than arginine. Arginine's for young men who want to pump in the gym. Citrulline is for older guys who want more blood flow to their penis. The second thing that, and we're going to do this in non-pharmaceutical, but I'm going to give you a pharmaceutical plus up that you should consider too. I like to do things that are all organic to the body and aren't pharmaceutical interventions, but there's a consideration for a particular pharmaceutical plus up to this. So I'll do that at the end. Remind me if I forget. Okay. So we're starting with Flow, which is here. I've got a whole bunch of stuff to show you. So Flow is a nitric oxide supplement that's made from organic watermelon rind. Citrus vulgaris is watermelon, and it's super high in citrulline. And it is, it also includes spinach, which is the nitrite to nitrate pathway to nitric oxide in your body. And it also has a pine bark tannin, a polyphenol that's very good for vascularization. The second thing that I'm going to put him on is a daily vitamin mineral complex. Do I have it right here? I probably do. Let me dig one out. Yeah, here's one. I make 3 versions of this: Tribulus, Tonkat, and fenugreek. And herb cycling is really important when you're doing botanical libido support. Botanical libido support is really about creating more of your own hormones, more of your own everything, from, thyroid hormone to testosterone to estrogen. You need estrogen to have sex. You need estrogen for a hard on. Estrogen's not the enemy at all. Estrogen's good for your bones. It's good for your heart. It's good for a lot of things. You need it cognitive function. So this is a multivitamin, multi-mineral supplement that has libido botanicals built in, and you take one the first month, the second month, the third month, and then you repeat, because for the recovery of some of the stuff I'm going to tell you next, you need to have your D. You need to have your boron. You need to have your magnesium. There's certainly, so like just your basic multivitamin is like ground zero with your nitric oxide supplement. So that's the supplementation that I recommend. The next thing I do is I make sure that you're not using an antibacterial mouthwash and that you're not taking an acid blocker or proton pump inhibitor. If you're taking a proton pump inhibitor or acid blocker, it means you probably have small, you have like H. pylori or some kind of fungal or bacterial overgrowth in your microbiome, and you need to not cover it up with a Band-Aid. You need to fix your gut. So Shane does not have that problem. He does not use antibacterial mouthwash, and he eats a lot of leafy green vegetables. He has a good diet. So he's a quality eater. And he works out 3 days a week with a trainer, and he goes for a long walk every day. So he's doing those things for building muscle, generating more growth hormone, and he is working on getting his testosterone tested and working on testosterone supplementation at 56. He wants to top up his testosterone system. So that's another thing that he's pursuing. So those are some of the kind of like inside job things. And then the next piece of it is a stack of rejuvenating technologies or therapies. The very first one is GainsWave. I am a company spokesperson for GainsWave, and I went to them and I was like, I just want to tell everyone about what you're doing because it's been so incredible for my husband, who, by the way, is 59. Excuse me, he has a magnificent penis, and it is long, hard, thick. It works, it gets hard, it stays hard, and he's making it even bigger. I call it the sea serpent. My husband's name is Sir Tim, and he has an incredible penis. So he does all these things, which is how I know about it. And that's why I went to GainsWave, and I'm like, I just need to be telling everyone about this. I want to be a spokesperson. Keep me trained, keep me educated, keep me up to date on everything so that I can be really, really intelligent about it. And GainsWave is basically acoustic wave technology that is administered to the penis, breaks up the plaque, and it stimulates new tissue growth, nerve growth, and new capillary growth, vascularization, blood flow, because as you age and it atrophies, it recedes. And the reason that it atrophies, in addition to the like just the aging and the kind of shrinking, is that when you stop having nighttime erections, basically your penis is in a contracted state all the time, and it's not getting exercised. You need nighttime erections, 4 or 5 of them a night, so that you can see that everything's starting to work again. It needs to fill up with blood and deflate, fill up with blood and deflate. That's what keeps the atrophy at bay. And so the next thing that Shane is doing is he's got a Firm Tech ring. And the Firm Tech ring is a real soft elastomer cock ring that goes around both the shaft of the penis. There's 2 little pieces. One goes under the balls and one goes in front of the shaft, and they meet up at the top. And it's a Bluetooth device that sends your erection information to the app. So you can see, okay, wow, I started doing this. I got rid of the proton pump. I gave up my antibacterial mouthwash. I'm eating green vegetables. I'm taking my nitric oxide. I've got my testosterone. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to get nighttime erections, and it measures them for you. What? You can wear it during intercourse, and it will tell you the duration and firmness of your erection, so you can track your improved erectile function. Wow. So you get these GainsWaves, and then you add 2 things. Number 1, you want to use a penis pump, a vacuum erection device. And I have a particular one that I love. I'm going to tell you why I love it and how to use it. The vacuum erection device, which we call the Whopper, because it works on both length and girth. It's a particular brand that I think is the best company. They're 30 years old. This is a Joel Kaplan company. They're 30 years old. They're a mom and pop business. They're run by caring, loving people. I mean, when servicemen email them and they're like, do you have any discount coupons for veterans or men in certain? They're like, yeah. I mean, they just take care of people. I love them. And they make super premium penis pumps. And I'm going to show you how they work. I've got the electric pump, I've got the hand pump, and I have a traction device to show you. Nice. So when you're getting the GainsWave and you're doing this acoustic wave to the penis, it's breaking the plaque up, stimulating new tissue growth through the process of hormesis. Hormesis is a little bit of stress on the body that calls in healing and growth factors to repair the tissue. Added to that, when you do your GainsWave, you can ask your practitioner for a P shot, which is PRP, the platelet-rich plasma injected into the penis. They use hopefully Doppler guided, ultrasound guided, so that they can get it right into the corpus cavernosum and spongiosum, so that it fills that erectile tissue with the healing factors from your own blood and stimulates even more healing while you're going through the GainsWave treatments. Then when you're going through the GainsWave treatments, you're also pumping. Pumping is like bodybuilding. It pulls blood into the penis. It increases the blood carrying capacity. It does slight micro tears, same as the progressive overload on your bis and tris and thighs and everything, right? What you're doing is you're pumping that up, and you're tearing it a little, and then you need your recovery day. That's why you have leg day, arm day, and dick day, right? Don't skip dick day.
Never do.
But you have to let your body repair from the pumping, which is making it it's like sucking in so much blood, it's making your penis even bigger. And the way that you pump, so let me can I show you the pumps?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. So how are we doing so far? Everything good?
Dude, excellent. Because I'm talking about penis pumping a whole bunch of times, and I mean, for us, it's one of those important things in PE where it's like, I got my little love pump over there. I mean, it's one of those necessary things that I feel as we get older, we got to do. And I always make sure I dedicate at least 20 minutes. Right now, I'm getting ready for a bodybuilding competition myself. So it's kind of like I haven't done any hanging or any other forms of PE. However, pumping is kind of the easiest thing. You just go in 15, 20 minutes a day and you're done. And it's excellent. And I can attest to all the benefits that I've had from it. And a lot of the girth gains that I've made have come from pumping. So believe you me, I am a huge believer in pumping, and I believe in Kaplan pumps. And I think it's excellent. I think every guy should have one. In this day and age, it's kind of like, and what I love about your style, Susan, is that it's like, let's take the taboo out of this and let's just talk about our health. It's like a bicep. It's like training the tricep. It's like training any other part of the body. And that's why I love it. And I 100% agree with you. And I think every dude out there should have a pump.
Me too. I'm trying to have every dude out there have a pump. One of the things that I like is I like to pump and then have a rest day, and then pump and have a rest day. You really shouldn't pump more than 3 times a week. That's the best. And it works really well during GainsWave, and then keep going because you're going to just have more results with your GainsWave when you pump. Some people say, well, pump every day after GainsWave, but I wouldn't. Not me personally. With everything I know, I think you have to have the rest day. Your body needs recovery because the building comes in the recovery and the rest, not in the actual muscle tear down. So the thing I like about the Whopper, so let me show it to you. It's a 2-cylinder system, and there's a lot of different pump sizes. This is like a 3.5 and a 3 1/4.
Yeah.
This one is a 2 and a 2 1/4. So, and they go, there's a whole like range of them because the most important thing is to get the right size pump. So you don't have, like, if your penis fills up too much, you can't get enough vacuum. You can't get enough expansion. If it's too big for you, you're just not going to get the vacuum that you need to pull in because there's so much air in there. So measuring first, and then measuring your length and your girth. And the way you measure is from your abdomen down along the top of your penis to the tip. That's your length. And then around the fattest part of your shaft, that's your girth. And the Whopper is made to do both increase length and girth, 20 to 25% gains in 10 months. Significant gains in 3 months, like so much so that when you get out of the shower and you glance in the mirror, you're gonna be like, who dat? Who dat dick? Which is such a nice thing when you start like slapping your dick around so your wife is like, baby, check this out, it's just like so nice. So the basic way that you pump is you can use a hand pump, which is what this looks like. And the nice thing is that if you grow out of when you grow out of a cylinder, you can get a new cylinder and you don't have to get a whole new system. And this hand pump works really nicely to pull in the blood and top it off. You can, my husband likes the electric pump because he likes to sit at his desk with his big cock laid on the top of his desk and with his pump on there, and then he's doing his email and doing his work and filing his patents and doing all his crazy stuff, while the electric pump is keeping the negative pressure equalized in there because it does seep out a little, that's why the hand pump, you have to pump it a little as you go. So you can use either one of these, whichever one you want. And then there's also a head enlarger, because there are a lot of guys who have a pretty nice thick shaft, but a tiny little head. And one of the things that makes a penis beautiful is some symmetry. There are a lot of guys who also have a nice shaft, but it's thin at the base. And that worries me because the most common thing is to break your dick at the base with rough sex. She gets on top, she's jumping up and down on you, and all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you do not want that. So 2 things. Number 1, a girthy base. So penis pumps, really, as you grow your penis and you increase the overall penile volume, both length and girth, with this 2 pump system, this 2-cylinder system. It's going to start at the base. The first thing you're going to see, I got a friend of mine, he sent me a picture and he's like, thank you so much for believing in my cock. He's like, nobody ever has been so kind to me about my cock, and you encouraged me. And he's like, look at the base of my cock. And it was funny, you could see in his penis that the base, you could see like this band of thickness that was working its way up to the tip. It starts at the base and works its way. I mean, it overall increases, but you really see it at the base first, and then the whole thing fills in. You could see how much thicker it was at the base. It used to be thin all the way down, and now it's like, so for guys especially, it's super good because you're going to have a lot more sex when you have a dick you love, and that works great. And so girls are going to be jumping up and down and riding that thing like crazy, and they are not careful when they are having orgasms and they lose their mind, and you got to protect your dick. So having a nice thick base not only feels fantastic inside her, as a matter of fact, girth is often more important to most women than length. They're not as interested in length as they are in girth, especially when they're younger. Older women, as we get more and more used to being penetrated and we want deeper and deeper penetration, we want it deeper over time. So that changes for women too, what women want. But a girthy penis feels great because it stretches out our vagina a little bit, and that the mechanoreceptors in our vagina really enjoy that kind of like opening that feels good when you slide in. So if you can slide into a vagina and, you know, like she's like, oh, that feels good. That's really nice for both of you. So I love the girth and I love the head enlarger. And there are some bigger head enlargers coming out. One of the things that happens with Kaplan is that they keep having to make things bigger and bigger because guys want women are like, you can never be too rich or too thin. Guys are, you can never have too big a dick. I mean, I don't think there's any upper limit to how big a guy would want his dick to be. A lot of the guys that are the biggest guys are pumping because they're like, well, I'm already so huge. How big could I make it? And there are some guys that have a hard time finding women who want to have sex with them because how big they are. They're like 12 inches, 13 inches long. And it's like, that might even be a challenge for me. So the head enlarger can be added to it. So basically, then you have a red light wrap, and the red light wrap is total biohacking. I hope I have charged this. Let's see how we do.
Infrared
Turning
heater.
it on. Let's see. Oh, look at this, got red light in there. If you're watching our YouTube, there's red light in there. And this can wrap around the cylinder like this as you're pumping, but you can also put it right on your dick and balls. And what's nice is that is mitochondrial stimulation of things like the Leydig cells, which help you produce more testosterone. And it's also what you want for recovery. So you can put the red light wrap on the days you're not pumping. You can wrap it with red light that stimulates more tissue growth. It just helps with the whole thing. So basically, to pump, let me turn this off. To pump, what you want to do is start with the big cylinder. You want to be soft. You want to start with the big cylinder. And by the way, I have a book. I think I have it here. Yeah. This book, Pump Guide, you can buy it on Amazon, but you can download it for free at pumpingguide.com. It has all the protocols. It has everything I'm talking about. But it's all in here. So you can learn everything that you need. Plus there's a lot of like little extra tricks I can't go into. You put your scrotum and your penis in the big pump, flaccid. This is the one that's going to pull on the suspensory ligament. Let me find a picture of it for you. Here it is. So this is the penis. Half sticks out of your body, half sticks in, but the whole thing is the spongy tissue. It's wrapped in the tunica albuginea, which is like a membrane that holds it all in, and then the skin is on top of that. And what you want to do is you want to use a warm washcloth before you pump, or take a shower before you pump. I don't like water pumps. I don't think the gauging is good enough. You really want to not over pump. I need a better analogy than this. So CJ, if you have one, tell me, because I cook. I'm a fantastic cook. I'm of the feed 'em and fuck 'em category. I think that's the way to a man's heart. I hope I can say that on your show.
Oh,
is it
100%.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Definitely.
So I like to make these hearty stews. But when you make a stew, you don't ever bring it to boil, because then it makes the meat tough. And so you have to do it low and slow. That's what you want to do with a stew. Then the meat just melts in your mouth. Well, that's how it is with pumping. You don't want to like pump it up to level 11 just because you think you can take it, because that's how you get edema, you get bruising, you get swelling. You don't want to do that. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
You have to resist your inclination as a testosterone dominant individual to do the thing you want to do. You're not allowed. Susan says no. You have to go slow, because you don't want to pull that tunica. You want to slowly stretch the tunica and the penile skin so that it relaxes, so then the blood can flow in more. And you're pulling on this suspensory ligament, which is going to just tug it enough that you get a little more drop, so that you hang a little lower. You can still get it up, but it's longer, so you can hang a little lower, so you've got a visual lengthening. And then you get that bigger girth, so the whole penis is bigger. So the first pump is the big pump, balls and all. It doesn't make your balls bigger, but it does bring blood flow, which is good for semen production, testosterone production. I mean, there's no studies that show this, but if you're putting blood flow into anything, you're improving your health in that area. So you do that first, 10 minutes, massage your penis, really massage it, good deep massage, because you're really trying to like expand it and, get it loose and soft. And then you give yourself an erection if you can at first. If you can, it's okay. And then you put yourself into the smaller cylinder, whichever one is the size for you. With an erection, you pull the blood in again, hold it for 10 minutes, release, massage, erection, one more time, hold it for 10 minutes, wrap a ring around it. Whether it's, I don't think I've got my leather strap here. Whether it's a leather strap or a constriction ring, be careful it's not too tight. What I like is the new Firm Tech Performance Ring. It goes around your dick and balls. It's super soft, super comfortable, and you can so easily wrap it right around and then release the vacuum, pull the pump off. Hold the blood in your penis. You don't have to have an erection. Hold the blood in your penis for a half an hour. Leave that ring on no longer. Take the ring off, and then you go on your day. Don't ejaculate within hours of pumping, because you're going to be blowing the blood out that you just all got in there. You're trying to grow the capillaries. You're trying to grow the tissue. So ejaculate on your recovery days if you can. That's the best time to do it. And what's really fun is there's lady pumps. Mine are in my dishwasher right now. My friend was visiting, and he was like, you're really the only person whose house I come to, and when I put something in the dishwasher, there's like clit pumps in there. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I just think I have the best dishwasher in the world because there's clit pumps in there. So there's vulva pumps and clit pumps, and they work with the same system. So you can share, you can pump up your lady's vulva, and you can pump up your lady's clit. One of the things that I've been doing is, so I'm 61, and as you age, the outer labia, they can get a little saggy. And so that's where the clit legs are. It's under there. And so one of the things I do is I pump my vulva maybe once a week or so. My husband will give me a yoni massage. He'll give me a pussy massage, and then he'll pump up my vulva. And then he'll pump up my clit with the clit pump. And that kind of draws the clit out, the shaft out. It looks like a little tiny dick.
Yeah.
And that gives me more tissue volume, which gives me more erectile function, because I've got the same amount of erectile tissue in my vulva. It's just in a donut around my vagina, and comes to a peak at the glands. And that gets really filled with blood super well for me. And it's all plumped up and delicious and beautiful and puffy and engorged and full of blood and juicy. And it's just like, it's like, that's a good vagina, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible how nice my vagina and vulva are in my 60s, wet, luscious, delicious, or massively orgasmic. Because one of the things I do, can you hear that?
A little bit, not really.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm going to wait till we stop. Sorry about that. We happen to be coinciding with my yard man. Oh, my darling. I really love my yard guy. He's so good, but he doesn't know I'm in here on a podcast. Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries.
But I love the clit and vulva pumping. And one of the things I'm on is a crusade for couples to understand that when you pump up your genitals together, it's just hashtag self-care down there. And you can expand your orgasmic capacity your whole life long. So guys now, they're so great because they're like, well, I have ejaculatory orgasms, but I'd like to become a multi-orgasmic man. Oh, I'd like to stimulate my prostate. I'd like to have P-spot orgasms. I'd like to have blended orgasms, prostate, penis orgasms. Like, how do I do that? So I teach guys how to do that. And then for women, I like them to have clitoral, vaginal, anal, breast, throat gasms, foot gasms, core gasms. We can have 20 kinds of orgasms.
Wow.
And and the 20th one is wild card. And we can both male and female, XX and XY chromosome. It doesn't matter your gender. If you're a vulva owner or a penis owner or some in between, you can have all these incredible orgasms. Wow. And so what I really want to do is I want to help people have great sexual health, extend their sex span, expand their orgasmic potential, deepen their intimacy, and totally blast to the heavens their sexual satisfaction and connection with themselves and their partners. And sexual health is one of the three legs of the stool, with sexual communication, sensual talk, appreciation, adoration, dirty talk, fantasy sharing, asking for what you want, just all that, and sex techniques. How do you give her orgasms? How do you make her squirt? How do you become a multi-orgasmic man? I feel like those three things are like the three things that give you a great sex life.
100%. Yeah, because I mean, you basically banged every nail on the head.
Well, I like a banging. Yeah. I got one more thing to tell you.
Oh, yeah. So, let's do it.
So this is a traction device. This is called Deep, the ultimate penile extender. It's also from Kaplan. And what I love about this particular device is that it's super comfortable. It does not hurt. Guys look at this and they're like, shit, that must hurt. And I'm like, it doesn't hurt at all. It should never hurt. You can wear it under your bed, even though this looks erect because it's a, it's a fake penis. It's a dildo. You can wear this in your pants and no one can, as long as your pants are a little baggy, no one can see it. You wear this for a half an hour before pumping. Never wear it longer than a half hour. And you can wear it as many half hours a day as you want. And what it does is it accelerates the lengthening. Like the pumps are the best for girth. The Whopper is good for length and girth. But if you're like, I'm 5 inches and I want to be 8, you're going to have to add a penile extender. And there's longer extenders too. So they have short, medium, and long. So you can make it even longer. And this is basically, I feel like this is like a medical grade product without a medical price. I mean, these are all very affordable things. And since my husband started using the penile extender, I can really see the lengthening. One of the things that I've also done, I should also mention one last thing, and that is that I am happy to look at any guy's photos, but don't send them to me on Instagram. I do not want to get my account shut down.
Okay.
And if you're going to send them to me, you can send them to me at my OnlyFans account. I'm happy to do it. I don't do quote unquote dick ratings. What I do is free advice about the strategy I would use for a particular guy's penis. If he wants it to be larger, if he has a wound or an injury or an issue, or he just needs some reassurance that everything is fine or what have you. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a lay person, but I'm a very well trained and educated lay person, and I've helped thousands of guys. So you can follow me on Instagram. You can ask me questions in Instagram. I'm at Susan Bratton, but you have to send pictures to my OnlyFans. And my OnlyFans, it's onlyfans.com/Susan Bratton. And when you send me pictures there, what I want is I want to see your whole body. You don't have to show me your face, but I want to see how your penis looks on your body erect, because flaccid means nothing. Don't worry about your flaccid size. Like, even if it's almost disappeared, many guys are like that. It's women don't pay attention to that at all. It's just erection that is really what we want to. So don't have any shame around it being really tight. That's how dicks are. All
grower.
dicks.
Yeah, he's a grower.
Exactly. So what you want to do is send me your body so I can see what it looks like. And then I need close-up image of the penis itself, just so I get a sense of what it looks like. And what I need is length and girth. So length from the belly down the top to the tip and around the shaft in the thickest place. And then and then any questions that you have, and send me inches, not centimeters. You do the math, you lazy suckers. And I'll answer and tell you as best I'm able, any and all of those things. So going back to Shane, he's going to take Flow the nitric oxide, have his testosterone checked, take the Desire supplements with Libido Botanicals, get a series of 6 GainsWave treatments, get a P shot, PRP with it. He's going to use the traction device. He's going to use the tech ring from FirmTech Performance Ring. He's going to use the regular ring. You could just use the tech ring if you wanted to, but he's going to use the regular ring for at the end of his pumping session. He's going to use the Whopper, and he's going to use the red light wrap. So I think that is everything that he's going to do. And we're going to take all the data over the months. So we have the first time this integrated sexual biohacking, data-driven strategy for guys. Now, could we tell you which thing's more contributory? No, but that's what a stack is. A stack is we're hitting it with everything. And I'm going to add up the cost of every single thing so that guys are like, okay, I can't afford this, but I can afford this. So all you have to do is the best you can do with this stuff, right? I mean, everybody's on different budgets, but if there was one thing that a guy should do, it's the pump, the Whopper pump, the one thing. If you didn't do, eat your vegetables, learn how to cook. Eat your greens and your beets. If you can't even afford the supplements, if you can't afford the P shot, you can't afford the GainsWave, you can't afford the light, you can't afford the, it's okay. Get the pump. And that, I think, is the single place to start. So that's really the safe stack. I don't recommend a lot of jelking, and I don't recommend hanging. I don't recommend weights, because here's what the problem is. Right in my inbox right now, I got a guy who said the weight slipped and now my dick doesn't come out of my penis anymore. People hurt themselves with the weights. They overdo it because you're dudes and you're like, I can take, and they hurt themselves. There's too much damage. That's why I like a traction device. It's not pulling on the internal resources in the way that the stretcher is just making the penis itself longer, much more safe, not going to damage yourself. The weights, too many bad stories on it, and also the jelking. But there are men in countries that cannot get access to pumps. They're not allowed to sell them, like Muslim countries. Muslim men
What?
can't get the pumps. They can't, because it's quote unquote a sex toy or whatever. And
Oh, I
so
didn't know that.
even though the company ships all over the world, there are places where Pakistan, they
Huh.
can't get them. And so what are you going to do? You got to do gelking. That's all you can do, you know? So the chances of injury are high, which is why I don't like it. I've seen too many bad stories. That's why I like the mechanical pull the blood, and gelking doesn't get the blood flow in. It really doesn't. Like, it stretches, so it makes a little more room for blood, but it's not expanding your blood carrying capacity. Weights aren't expanding your blood carrying capacity, and you're worrying about your internal systems there. That worries me. So I like the stuff that I feel like is, I mean, dudes still hurt themselves. They still overpump. They're like, look at this bruise. Will it go away? And I'm like, why did you do that? I told you not to. You know?
I've been there. I mean, I've suffered from injuries myself. I mean, especially with the gauge, which is kind of like what you're talking about when you made the analogy of the stew. It's like, hey, you know, I was there. I'm like, let's push it up to 15 psi and see what happens. And then it's like, oh shit, I got
CJ,
a blister.
yeah, exactly. CJ. Oh my goodness.
Like, I've been there. I mean, honestly, it's kind of like, to your point, us guys sometimes want to up the ante, and we're like, if we
I
do
know.
more, we'll get more. But then, and honestly, taking a step back with the recovery and just, it's something that comes with wisdom. But I mean, sometimes we overstep, because I always talk about how we should always reach for the low hanging fruit. And a lot of people get overzealous, including myself. You see gains, and then you're just like, oh, I can get more. Not the case. It's kind of recovery, same as the gym. You got to give your body time to recover. If you don't, you know, it's like you'll always be putting that stress on your body, and you will never recover. The building, like you said, will never happen, right?
Yeah, the
So
building comes in the rest.
super
Well, and it's
important.
also like there's no day at the gym worth an injury.
Oh no, not at all. Not at
None.
all. Not at all.
I do not want to hurt myself in the gym. That
No.
and I want to be a friggin' barbarian in the gym. Every
Exactly.
day, a barbarian. That's how I love to be in the gym. But I do not want to hurt myself. So you got to ride that
No.
line between like growth and safety.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that create desire as well, growth and safety.
Interesting.
Desire is an equation of novelty, adventure, variety, wildness, you know, like trying new things, pushing the edge, rooted in safety, trust, connection, because you can't soar to the edges of your sexual potential without being rooted in trust with your partner. You get a lot further in a foundation of trust. Same with arousal. When you're trying to get your woman turned on, she can't get turned on till she feels relaxed. Guys are like, let me spin these knobs and push these buttons and I'm gonna get her turned on. Here we go. And it's like, ah, you know, they're like putting it on. And it's like, why don't you just fucking hold her first and tell her everything's okay and get her out of her head and connected to your heart, and, you know, like, just slow down. It's like, that's just fighting against your biology, really. You know,
Yeah.
that's what you have to do.
But it's kind of like a lot of this, it's the way I kind of see it too. It's like the way young men have sex, including myself. You know, when I was young, just like, yeah, pound town. It's like, and then you grow up and you're like, wait a minute, she doesn't like this at all. It's like, okay, I
Not
gotta
at
slow her down. It's
all.
like massage. You kind of
Yeah.
ease into it. And everything that happens prior to, like you were talking about dirty talk and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That's all, I mean, for her, that's almost which is part of the process. Like, it's, you got to do that. If not, she's gonna be in her mind being like, oh, I wonder what I gotta do tomorrow. You know, she's already
God,
stressed about
CJ,
something else.
you must just be incredible to listen to in the bedroom. You've got the sexiest voice.
Oh,
I
thank
mean,
you.
honestly, you should just do we should do an episode on dirty talk just so everybody could hear how sexy you sound. Oh, I'd
I'm
love to hear your
down.
dirty
I'm
talk.
down.
All right, let's do a dirty talk episode.
Oh,
I'll
for
do some
sure.
penis worship for you.
Okay, let's do it.
It's a date.
Susan, it was an absolute blast having you here. I mean, we're coming up at the end of this
I
episode,
know.
but any closing words?
Just get go to pumpingguide.com and download the book so you have the plan, so you don't hurt yourself if you're going to do it. If you're on Pumping Guide, you'll be on my email newsletter and you'll be notified when there are sales on the pump. We do, like, I think 3 of them a year, maybe 4 of them a year, so that's nice. You'll always hear about the latest stuff from me that way. And feel free to slide into my DMs or send me your dick pics at OnlyFans, whichever one you want to do. I'm happy to help your guys with any questions that they have. Your questions help me get better. So it's my honor to support your your growth and your satisfaction with your penis, your balls, your orgasms, your sex life. I just really love to help guys just be incredible lovers with so much confidence.
And honestly, I mean, more beautiful words couldn't be said. And it was an absolute blessing having you on today because, hey, we learned so much. And this one, I mean, I'm going to have to divide into like a million different clips because, I mean, there's so much that we can extract here. So, Susan, it was an absolute blast. And I hope you have an awesome day.
Thank you, CJ.
All right. That's it for today's episode, guys. Until the next one.